and I have been really unmotivated lately. Except recently, as in like 5 minutes ago, I saw a meme with a quote by Karl Popper, and I have to talk about it. Okay, so who the hell is Karl Popper? What the hell and what the fuck? So Karl Popper is he died in 1994, was a philosopher of science. He lived in Austria when, in the 20s and 30s, he was very, very briefly a Marxist, but came to reject them, particularly their economics. He was very... God, this is so complicated. He had lived a long-ass life. He was a very famous dude, and his notions on philosophy of science, particularly empiricism, empirical falsification. Basically, the premise is, in empirical science, you can't 100% prove a theory, but you could prove a theory conceivably wrong. You have the ability to refute it by proving that it might be wrong in certain circumstances. This was opposed to existing philosophies that exist at the time. Not really relevant to my thing. Recently, it was posted, I keep seeing this meme where it was a quote from Karl Popper. Okay, why am I bringing this meme up? Karl Popper believed that tolerance was kind of a paradox. Like, if you tolerated something, all ideas, including intolerant ideas, then you would eventually, or could eventually, lead to the extinction of tolerance. And I disagree. Karl Popper believes some amazing stuff, and there's a lot of places where Popper and his philosophies, and my own personal philosophies are very much in line. Particularly in economics, individualism, and a rejection of collectivism. Particularly, he was briefly a Marxist, very, very, very briefly. He kind of got a feel for them, may have even worked for the Communist Party, 1920s, and then is like, no, this is bullshit, fuck this, and that's cool. I'm with him on that. But his theory is something like this: if you allow intolerant ideas, then you open the door for intolerant ideas, and that can lead to the extermination of intolerance. And it's kind of being passed around as well. There you go. Here's our proof that we should be intolerant towards people who disagree with us or have philosophies that we ourselves find intolerant. Nonsense. I don't agree at all. Briefly, as to why. God, this is going to take a minute. This is going to take a hot minute to explain it. Why I think Popper is wrong. If Popper had actually had his way, and the Nazis were, banned? They were trying to ban them. They were conquering the goddamn country. But let's say that they weren't allowed to, spout Nazi propaganda or something. That wouldn't have prevented people from being in favor of Nazis or Nazism or that political movement. It just would have meant that very important discussion could not happen publicly. That very, very, very important discussion couldn't happen publicly. And it did happen publicly. It did not happen the way he wanted it to, and I don't blame him for being pissed off at that. That's terrible. What happened to Austria, for that matter, most of Europe during World War II, particularly in the 30s. But the idea that we will employ censorship and get a good result from it, I am always in favor. I'm always, 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 always going to be more in favor of talking over silencing people. Not even if, I'm not going to say even if what they say is obnoxious or obviously wrong or even vile. Not even if. The word is especially. It should be especially important that you discuss this, that it be out in the open, that it not be hidden or disguised, because that doesn't get rid of it. It really doesn't. I think Karl Popper, a man who's almost certainly far more brilliant than I ever will be, is totally wrong. I think he's totally wrong in this. Because, of course, we have to tolerate intolerant ideas, but there is a world of difference between tolerance and acceptance. God, it was a South Park bit where, what's the character's name? The teacher, Mr. Garrison, explains that, we're supposed to accept, there was a tolerance museum and he was acting outrageously on purpose, trying to get people to reject him for convoluted reasons. But God, he said it so perfectly, so succinctly. He's like, look, tolerance is not acceptance. You tolerate a baby crying, that doesn't mean you like it. Brilliant. The South Park guys are just brilliant. And in this case, I think have a better grasp on this than Karl Popper. Here's why we should tolerate the intolerant. Because if we tolerate them, then we can listen to them. We can hear what they have to say. Why is someone intolerant? What are their arguments for being intolerant? And if I know what someone's arguments are, I now knowing what they are myself, and I disagree with them, I can now articulate a response to it. I can create a counter argument. I can create a proper discussion, and I can destroy it in a public forum. If we don't tolerate it, it's not like if we ban someone from, and this is the important bit, understand. Karl Popper lived in Austria during the Third Reich. I mean, he actually saw, and that was where his tolerance paradox ideas come from, because he saw democracy, specifically democratic governments, not properly standing up to Nazism. Fair is fair, but the government is not society. It isn't. I mean, a government's inability to do something is not the same as an individual's. It's very different. More than that, you have to have a public forum where you can destroy ideas, where you can say, this is your idea, it's wrong, here's why. And you're not going to just win the argument like that, even if you're right, even if you're obviously right. It's going to take a constant stream of back and forth. It's going to be it'll be Sisyphusian. It'll be rolling that boulder uphill in hell forever. You'll constantly have to do it. That's a constant fight, and it's a fight worth fighting. Here's why. Because if you ban someone from having intolerant ideas, you ban them, all you're doing is banning them from a public forum. You haven't erased the ideas from their head. You haven't made them stop believing something. All you've convinced them of is that you're afraid of what they have to say. And that is, for some people, that can be very polarizing. That can be almost evidence that they're right if you won't even let them talk. We have to have ideas, wrong ideas, discussed in a public forum. The wronger, the more important it is that they're discussed in a public forum, so they can be dissected, examined, and, if need be, properly destroyed, properly defeated, countered. So I think Karl Popper is wrong. I don't think you accomplish what he thinks you accomplish by being intolerant towards intolerance. It doesn't stop people. A while back, a friend of mine, a good friend, posted a picture of a guy wearing a T-shirt. And it was Will. And of a guy wearing a T-shirt, and the T-shirt had the most racist, obnoxious slogan you can imagine. And Will said something to the effect of, they're just, someone like this is just allowed to walk around. And like that, I mean, they're allowed to. And in my head, I'm thinking, what my friend is suggesting is that that be banned, that he shouldn't be allowed to wear a racist, insightful t-shirt. My problem is not the t-shirt. My problem with that entire idea, that scenario, is that it's not the t-shirt. It's that there is a guy willing to make that t-shirt and wear that t-shirt in public, like not even with like a shirt or something, just flat out for everyone to see. The t-shirt informs of the individual. It's not like this was a very tolerant individual who put on the t-shirt and magically transformed into an asshole. It's like if you actually said, hey buddy, you can't wear that t-shirt, that guy still believes what he believes. Will, all you've done is put an asshole in stealth mode. They now look like everyone else. I mean, if they're going to be obviously racist and intolerant, I want the ability to go, oh, there they are, they're over there, or they're over there, or having them point themselves out to me, that's a bonus. That's a free bonus. It's like I can see enough into someone's head by the t-shirt they wear that I can know, hey, that guy is not someone I I want to start a conversation with, most likely. Unless, he's spouting some nonsense, and then I would want to, like, hey, I think you're wrong. Obviously you're wrong for these reasons, da-da-da-da, and on it goes. I don't know, that's just my thought. It's a tirade. I haven't made anything in a little while, and I like doing it. So, here I am, here we go. That's me, I'm out.